Hello. Hey guys, today I'm doing a Q&A video. A couple days ago, I asked on my Instagram story if you guys wanted to ask me questions for this video, because I just feel like you guys don't really know much about me, so figured what better way to get to know me than by asking me questions. So let's get into it. I'm excited. So some of these questions were asked by multiple people, so I'm not going to read out all the names, but I will show everybody on the screen who asked me the question that I'm answering. So number one is, how did you get into collecting? You know, sometimes I think of collecting as like almost an addiction, which probably isn't the right choice of words to use, but I just bought the G3 Indonesian variant of Draculaura, which, did I need two of the exact same doll? No, but her screenings are different and I like the differences, so obviously how can I say no when I see it on the shelf, which makes it sound like I have a shopping addiction, but I promise I don't. Second question is, how did you discover Monster High? The answer is my mom. She bought me First Wave Frankie, not that one, but for my birthday, and I've been obsessed ever since, and it has taken over my life. Question number 3 is, how did you get into doll customizing? Which, the answer is actually My Froggy Stuff. I used to watch their videos religiously for hours on end, and I tried making one back in like 2013. 2019 is like when I really committed into doing customs. Question number 4 is, what's your favorite custom that you've made? It's really hard to pick just one, but like my favorite type of custom to do is like taking a character that's not normally a fashion doll and then designing it into what I think it would look like as a fashion doll. So like my fashion doll versions of Strawberry Shortcake dolls, my Sanrio, and like Animal Crossing dolls, like those are my favorites. Next question is your first custom versus your most recent. Okay, so I have put off showing my first custom for so long because it's not good. Remember when I said My Froggy Stuff got me into making customs at first and I attempted to make one? So this was my attempt at making a Rainbow Dash custom. Yeah, so this was my first attempt at making a custom doll based on My Froggy Stuff's Rainbow Dash video. She's wearing a beanie because you know I didn't reroute this doll. Barely did the face on it. I'm so sorry, Abby, like you did not deserve this, but it's cool to see the progress of like where I started versus where I'm at now. Next question is, how do you feel about the term influencer? I don't want to sound weird. I don't really see myself as an influencer, which I know is like silly of me to say because of the following that I have, but like I don't like live my life in what I think is like the stereotypical like influencer lifestyle. Like I live a very normal day-to-day life. I make art and I collect dolls. That's my hobby, and I like to share it with people online. If I'm considered an influencer though, that's just something I'll have to get used to. But yeah, I don't know. It's like weird. Like I don't wake up every day and like think like, I'm an influencer. Like, that's just not how I think. I am extremely grateful though to have an audience who likes what I do and likes dolls like I do. So thank you for being here and supporting me. I love you. Next question is, what is one of the worst dolls that you did for you or someone else? Okay, so I won't say like which is the worst doll that I've made for somebody else because I don't want anybody to feel like I gave them a bad doll. But of course, like I will look back on my old work and I can see things that I would do differently now and like see improvement. But I think the same thing can be said for every artist. So just putting that out there. By far the worst doll that I've made though was based on American Horror Story. That doll literally was wearing a dress made out of tissues, so that is the worst. Next question is, do you own the entire Monster High collection? Definitely not. Not even close, but I am very happy for the collection that I have and with how many I have. There's definitely some dolls I still want to add to my collection, but I'm not really considered on completing my Monster High collection anytime soon. Next question is, do you own any of your Grail dolls? So this isn't Monster High, but it was one of my holy grail dolls for the longest time, was this Pulip. Her name is Akemi. If you aren't familiar with Pulip, they're like Japanese collector dolls and they can be a bit pricey. So she was released when I was pretty young and obviously I couldn't afford her. But she was like reproduced a few years ago, and that was like when I had just started making like TikTok money, and I made like my first big doll purchase on like one of my ultimate holy grail dolls. I've bought a few of my other grail dolls since then, but this one is very special to me. Next question is, do you collect anything else? So I don't really collect anything to the extent of dolls, but I really do like Star Wars, more specifically Kylo Ren. So I have like a lot of Kylo Ren merchandise, I guess. And I have a really small Anastasia collection because that is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I love the Broadway musical, so anytime I can get my hands on some Anastasia merch, I will buy it. But I have like the necklace and the music box, which are like two of my favorite pieces that I own in my whole collection of anything. Next question is, what were the first dolls you got of each of the main ghouls? I like this question. So my first Frankie, Claudine, and Ghoulia were their basic dolls up there. My first Draculaura was her Dead Tired, and my first Cleo was her School's Out. My first Laguna was her Skull Shores, and I think my first Deuce was Dawn of the Dance. I can't remember. Next question is, how many dolls do you own? I have no idea. I should really count them, but I'm just too lazy. Next time I rearrange my shelf though, which is like somewhat often, I will count them and I'll let you guys know. Next question is, can you do an in-depth face-up tutorial? I'm really glad somebody asked this because I've got a lot of exciting stuff coming. Some things are going over on Patreon. If you are interested in subscribing to my Patreon, it really helps support the channel, helps support me make better videos for you, and definitely an in-depth face-up tutorial is something I am considering. Next question is, what materials do you use for customizing? So I have a short somewhere that shows like some of the materials I use, but I have some very in-depth stuff planned for going over my materials list and how I use them and what I like about certain materials, what I don't like. It's coming. Next question is, what is the hardest part of customizing? So I've become a bit more of a perfectionist as I guess I've gotten more skilled. I don't know what to say. The longer I look at my face-ups, the more imperfections that I see, like usually with the symmetry. But then I just like think to myself and I say, nobody's perfect. What is your favorite doll in your collection? This is a hard question because it changes pretty frequently, but like my favorite doll in my collection right now is my repainted G3 Frankie. I love them. What's your favorite doll line? Ever? Wow, there's so many. I think from Monster High it would be Dawn of the Dance. I also really love Masquerade Madness from my scene. Completing both of those lines is like, that is my dream to finishing my collection. Next question is, have you ever repainted a Barbie? No, I've never repainted a Barbie. I have repainted a handful of my scenes, which is like as close as I've gotten to repainting a Barbie. I would love to sometime, I just haven't found the right inspiration to do it yet. Next question is, what's the best way to start getting into doll customizing? I think that the best way is by watching other artists and learning from them and their mistakes. Everyone has their own methods and there's no right or wrong way to customize and do art. It's like, there's no you have to do this and you have to do this. You do whatever you want. You learn as you go and you learn what works best for you, and do not discourage yourself when you're just starting out. You will get better as you keep practicing. I mean, like, just look at some of my oldest face-ups. Like, you have so much room to grow, and don't hold yourself back. Next question is, how do you avoid burnout? Burnout is kind of inevitable when you make content alongside of your artwork. It just like adds a whole extra level onto like what you have to do. But I just honestly really love what I do. I get a serotonin boost whenever I go to the store and I buy a new doll for my collection, but like nothing compares to the feeling when you finish making a custom doll you've been working on for days and days and you just absolutely love how it turned out. And then top that off with when I send a doll to someone who bought it and then the buyer messages me and they tell me how excited they are or that they got the doll and they love it so much. Like, that is like the best feeling in the world to me. Next question is, as a big fan of the Monster High franchise, did the new generation disappoint you? Honestly, I can't say that I am disappointed at all. I really love the G1 Monster High dolls, and as cool as it would be to see them hit store shelves again in a way that's like mass produced and not very limited and hard to find. I think the G1 dolls had their time. I think they made so many dolls, they made so many great dolls, and like there's only so far you can go without like being like, what can we possibly do next? But people like to say the G3 dolls aren't as edgy in their design. I think they're made with love for the brand, nothing but love, and I love their sculpts, and I think they are amazing for customizing, so I'm happy to use these dolls when I can no longer get my hands on old G1 Monster High dolls. Okay, so the last question I have here is, if you were to design your dream Monster High line, what would it be? Okay, so I've already posted like a few drawings for a Monster High line that I have always wanted to see, and it's like a winter themed line. Like, you know, My Scene's Icy Bling, like we have some winter themed Monster High dolls, but never like a full like puffer coat, earmuffs, you know, like the whole works of like a winter themed line, and like very pastel colors and icy. Like the closest thing we have is Abby to like winter themed dolls. She is always winter themed, but I want other characters. I think that style is like really trendy right now, like Y2K mixed with like leg warmers and the earmuffs. And that is why the Skulltimate Series 2 is a line that I think might be very highly anticipated, because for one, the designs are really nice, and for two, I think it's really trendy. It should be highly anticipated. So those are all the questions I had for today's video. If I didn't answer a question that you want me to answer, go ahead and leave it in the comments and I will try to answer some of your questions. I also want to say a huge thank you to Hannah for being my first Patreon subscriber. I am so excited to get started on Patreon. I've got a podcast with Emma coming soon on there, and some other very exclusive things that I am very excited to get started on. So yeah, check out my Patreon if you're interested. The support means the world to me. Thank you so much. Other than that, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you aren't. Only if you want to. And I'll see you in the next video.